Hi guys. Going to get in real quick. Chapter 17 and 18. We'll have the last lecture all done. You guys will be good to go. So, chapter 17, chapter 18. Chapter 17, trade shows. So, for a lot of you guys, if this is your first job in the trade show area, congratulations. It's going to be a wonderful experience, and you will have a baptism by fire, kind of drinking out of the fire hose. A lot goes on at those big box hotels that can hold large conventions, or if you're working for a convention center, obviously that's going to be your business from day one. So things to review. In the book, they have this section. It's called review, called the Exhibitor Service Kit. I want you guys to make sure you go through and read that. It really lays out everything from the standpoint of things you should know, things you'll be using with a trade show. They're massive, and guys, you have to think about everything from floor plans to security to the view the individual booths have. What do the individual booths get with the exhibit cost? What do we make them pay for? I've been this year alone, I've gone to four exhibits where some of them, the chairs and table came with the booth. Others, I had to pay separately for that. I had one that made me buy carpet for my booth. I didn't know that until I got there, so that was interesting. Sometimes have to pay for wireless. Sometimes they have machines that will read name tags, have a barcode on there or like a QR code. You can zap it, and all your leads come down. Some you can actually get an app on your phone. You zap it that way. So you'll have to figure out again what are going to be the services that you offer complimentary or there is a charge for. And sometimes you may not work within the hotel for that. That could be a third-party vendor that's going to come in and provide those things, right? It could be everything from lighting to electricity to plumbing to, God, I mean, there's just so many different things that go on with a trade show. It could be shrubbery, greeneries, the floral arrangements, all that kind of stuff. So again, you're going to want to have a list of how exactly things are going to be paid for, what's complimentary, what's not. So again, take a good look at that. They do a nice job of kind of laying everything out for you guys. The other thing that you're going to want to really take a good look at, I kind of touched on this a minute ago, the layout, right? This is incredibly important, and I've gone to multiple shows where there's going to be premiums, right? There are going to be booths that you're going to pay more for because of your location on the floor, and that could be that you're right by the front doors. It could be you're an end cap, and so there's going to be a lot of traffic going here, up and down the rows, if you will. It could be you're near the food, and that's the draw to coming into the trade show. It could be anything that stands out that's going to draw attention to your area, right? That's usually paid for a premium. If there are no premium booths, if everything's supposed to be even, if you will, well, then you got to make sure that nobody's, I don't want to say this, in a spot that's not going to generate traffic. And I'll give you an example. The last show I was at, the way they had it arranged is typically the show's highest volume was during meals because the meals were in with the show. However, what they had done was, if you guys can imagine, almost like a wagon wheel, right? So you got the middle of the wagon wheel, and then you have spokes coming off of it, right? Food was all in the middle. Well, I was on the spoke here, and so people would come as far as the food, turn right back around and sit down because the tables were all in the middle. Well, they never got to my spoke because there was nothing that drew them that far. Now, some of them eventually would walk the entire trade show, and so we get to see them, but not near the volume that anybody up in the front got because they had to walk through them to get to the food. Once they got there, they stopped and sat down. So again, not a great experience for me, and I paid the same money as all those other booths. So that feedback I did send back to the conference. So again, something to keep in mind, right? Trade show hours, guys, I cannot begin to tell you, if you go into this world, you want to make sure, again, as an exhibitor, I am paying for the idea of exposure and the hope of getting to touch potential clients, right? So if you're going to have the trade show open, say 8 to 5, then there has to be something that entices your people to come in. Now, a lot of times, again, breaks will be held there, lunches, breakfast, dinner, there's usually a reception held there, maybe opening night. There's something that's going to draw people in, right? If you don't do that, then again, there's no incentive other than those people wanting to come see us, which again, is usually a small percentage a lot of times. And it could be a large percentage. It depends upon the conference. But you want to set this up so that I, as an exhibitor, is getting the most bang out of my buck that I can. If it's going to be a set time period, I went to another conference where we had to be set up by 7 o'clock, which means I had to be at the convention center at 6. Had everything set up, ready to go at 7. Then they closed the trade show area and made us all leave because they wanted to make sure as many people were in the general session as possible. Well, it didn't make any sense for why did I have to be there at 7 and kill 4 hours of my time when there was nobody going to be in that area? And then they only had them in there for an hour and a half. And after that, they all had breakouts and whatnot to go to. So there was no incentive for them to come back in there. Again, I had paid, well, we got lucky. We traded that out. That booth, I want to say, was worth $400, $500, $700. And again, you're like, okay, if I'm putting out that money, I want an ROI on that. So again, really think about how your trade show affects not only your attendees, which is very, very important, but also the exhibitors, because they're the ones paying for the ability to be there at your show. Other things you're going to want to take into account, and again, this will vary upon where you're at, but you're going to need to know about labor. Is your hotel union or is the convention center union? That's a huge deal because there are some things that I as an exhibitor can set up, and there are some things I cannot. And I have to know that going in, because if I'm going to have to pay for labor, another charge is going to go on top of me being in that booth, all right? So security is another one. I've gone to enough trade shows where you can't even call them booths. I mean, they're displays, and you're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in these displays, not to mention the giveaway items. I've got everything from, chargers to, the one place was giving away bobblehead dogs that were this big, and you got your picture. It was a life-size bobblehead dog, you got your picture taken with. Just phenomenal. But that has to be locked down and protected because God help you as a hotel or a convention center if you don't have staff you can trust. And as I leave my booth, the staff is coming in to clean up, begins to pilfer different things. That's a concern, okay? And so do you have security there 24/7? Are they there only in the off hours? How do you arrange that? How do you justify that cost? How do you budget for that cost? Things you guys are going to need to know. The latter part of that is going to be the billing along with the shipping and receiving. So again, I'm paying for my booth. I'm probably paying for that up front. Any additional charges, I'm probably going to pay on site. So again, there's a great company called Freeman who I've worked with multiple times at different conferences where I have paid for my booth up front. They'll then send you a list of things. Hey, by the way, you've got your booth now. Do you want to add anything special to it? And it's a laundry list of things you can put in there. And sometimes I'll say, yep, I want this, 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 and this, and I pay for it in advance. Other times I've gotten there and realized, man, they didn't give me X. I got a small round table. I want a 6-foot rectangular table. I can walk right over there, pay for it right there, put my credit card down. They bring it to me 15 minutes later. Billing's done. They send me an email with a copy of the receipt, and I'm done. So those kind of things you have to keep in mind. Shipping and receiving, again, a huge element. And I'm beginning to delve into this more and more because what our booths are becoming are just more than I can carry onto a plane or check my luggage, that kind of stuff. So I'm having to ship things, whether it's UPS, FedEx. You're going to have an understanding of where it's received, how it's received, and how it makes its way to the showroom floor, if you will. And again, for the kind of things I do, it's a pull-up banner and all my marketing material. So it's 2 small boxes basically. But like I said, the one I'd gone to in Boston, which was RIMS, which is the insurance managers, these things were massive. I mean, these are the crates that were coming in, if not something bigger, on pallets, and it was just unbelievable. You have to have that planned out, right? How you're going to handle it. Is there a charge for handling? How you take it out of the shipping and receiving area, get to the showroom floor. What's the insurance on all of that kind of stuff, right? Because now you're handling multi-$100,000 booths. Somebody drops something, somebody bumps into something. How do you handle that? All that has to be thought out well in advance, okay? Again, chapter 17 does a fantastic job of hitting on all the trade show elements. Again, if that's your first gig into this world, fantastic. A lot of people kind of work their way up to that, if you will. But again, you're talking about a lot of detail, a lot of communication. So again, for those of you who like those 2 elements, that might be a way that you kind of want to lean to when you're looking for a new job. So, quick drink. All right, let's go on to chapter 18. This is the last chapter of the book. So again, congratulations for making it all the way through the class. As always, I always enjoy teaching this class. Those of you who have emailed me, I appreciate it very much. I like the engagement. The one thing I really miss about this class, the first time I did this, I think it was about 5 years ago. I was in the classroom, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Love the banner back and forth. This is hard for me because obviously I don't get any feedback from you guys. And actually I'll put it in here just to see how many of you guys are watching. If there's any feedback you want to give me, I would love to hear it. If we should do more live Zoom meetings where this lecture is, you guys are all watching it live. I've thought about that. I know it's easier if I record it. You guys can, watch it at your leisure. So we'd love to hear any kind of feedback for those of you who are watching it. Let me know what you think. Chapter 18, convention billing. Okay, so again, this is, this gets kind of, back up. This is the end of the event, right? How we're going to do our billing. And typically you're going to work with your accounting office on this to make sure it's set up correctly. And when we look at billing, especially from a hotel side, there's two kind of different ways there's multiple ways you can do the billing. The two main ways, you're going to have a master bill and you're going to have what the individual attendee pays, right? The master bill, in a lot of cases, will have all of your meeting expenses, right? Room rental, AV charges, any kind of electric that had to be put in, Wi-Fi if the hotel is charging for it, right? It may also have all the meals, right? All the breaks on there. And then it may have certain overnight rooms. So for instance, the president, the CEO, the VP, and 5 EVPs are all in the master. Everybody else is paying for themselves. So you have to know that ahead of time so that, an individual who comes in and says, I'm on the master, and we don't take their credit card information because they've told us they're on the master and they're not, can cause a world of headaches, especially for you talking to your client saying, oh, I'm sorry, we billed you for 3 people that you weren't supposed to pay for. We need to get those guys' credit card and make sure they get billed. So again, a lot of communication, a lot of attention to detail. So again, a lot of times what you'll see is overnight rooms typically might be guest will pay that, and then any additional expenses that are related to just them. Again, anything that went to room service, any, God forbid, any damages that were done to the room, but then anything that encompasses the entire meeting, the entire conference, again, anything along those lines will go on the master account. And again, that communication happens in your pre-con, and then as you're going through, you're probably checking this on a daily basis. I know our Crown Meetings directors actually did it. They had a daily meeting every day at the very end of the day to say, okay, here's what we charged you for. Are you okay with this? Does any of this need to change? And they'll probably go over the next day and say, here's what we're laid out for. Is it all good? And we've had clients who have said, you know what? We're already starting to see people leave. Cut this and this out. We won't need it. How are we still on minimum food and beverage? We're good. Fantastic. Yeah, go ahead and scrap that. So you'll have those daily changes, and that's a big deal when you're trying to work out what that final cost is. Obviously, time of payment is another going to be an issue, and this will, especially for your first time, when you're with a client, if you never had a history with them again, some places will say, you know what, we need a certain percentage down. They have 10% down when you sign the contract. You have to have half, have percent down, you sign the contract. You pay the rest at the conclusion of the meeting. Usually it's a 30, 60, 90, 120 as far as how many days out you'll have to pay that. Sometimes you will be the person has to call and get that payment made. Sometimes you'll have an accounting office that will help you with that, or receivables. So again, this is all things that are very, very important, because it's one thing to have a signed contract, but the money never gets to the hotel. Well, then we didn't do what our job is, right? We're generating revenue. So again, these are things that are going to come up. As a part of that, part of the payments, as well as that final bill, you're going to have credits, right? Something went wrong and we comp something. Maybe they had it in their contract, they get a 1 per 30, which means every 30 rooms are booked, we give them 1 for free, and that goes to the master. So those 5 EVPs, they actually booked 150 rooms, therefore we had a 1 per 30 policy, they have 5 comps, we're comping all 5 of those guys. You gotta make sure that's in there and that's taken out of the billing. The other thing that you're going to see in there too is if there are special gratuities or credits that are going to go to certain staff members. We had this multiple times where they would want us to make sure that our front desk staff or our bellmen or certain waiters that were at certain receptions got an extra gratuity. Maybe it's $35, could be $150, but then what basically would happen is we would bill them back for it. It would be in their master, or they gave us cash and we had to make sure we kept track of everything. So again, a lot of times you'll see that too in your post-con. And we talked about pre-cons before. Post-cons are just as important, right? we're going to go over and we're going to talk about, here's the billing, and then we're going to review, what did we do well? What do we need to work on? Where were there changes that we, was there something that we promised that we didn't deliver on? Were there things that we did very well? For me, I always wanted to hear, how did our staff adjust on the fly to things that came up that nobody saw or didn't expect, or something weird had happened. We had a client once was walking from our hotel to the parking garage, slipped on a piece of gravel and broke her arm. And our client services person not only got them to their car down in the parking garage, but then drove over with them to the emergency room, made sure she got settled, came back, got their car. They had two cars. Or maybe, no, she drove her over. She drove both of them over, came back, got their car. Another one of our client service managers drove to the hospital, left the car there, and came back. Those are the kind of things, obviously, that will really make you stand out to your client. Those are the kind of things you want to go over. I had a client that I lost for a year because of a huge problem. Well, sorry, it wasn't a huge, well, it was a huge problem because this person made it a huge problem, but we had been warned not to run out of a certain type of beer. I believe it was Coors Light. We had truckloads of Coors Light in our building. We had one bartender in a portable bar area, ran out of Coors Light. And instead of going down and refilling, like he was told 100 times, our front desk knew it, chef knew it, everybody knew, don't run out of beer, especially this kind, because that was what the VPs and the president loved. This guy did not go down and renew it. And that vice president happened to come to that particular bar, asked for a Coors Light. Guy said, nope, don't have any. And he goes, you're lucky I'm even serving you because the bar should have closed 15 minutes ago. Needless to say, that gentleman got fired. I lost that contract for the following year, which was about a $200,000 contract. I was not happy either because that was a pretty big commission check for yours truly. We did win it back the year after, really went after them and made a real conscious effort. Did not have the same problem again. But those kind of things come up in the post-con, and we want to know that, right? Because if I don't get the piece of business back from the following year, I want to know what it was attributed to. We don't have the dates. Was our pricing too high for the time they want to come in? Or did we screw up? We didn't know it and we didn't address it. Okay, so there's your post-con. That's the end of the class. Guys, thank you so much for taking this class. It's always a privilege to see or to get to know some of you guys through your emails, obviously, your tests, your projects. I'll have everything graded before the end of this week. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me as always or text me. And again, best of luck with the rest of your school year. And it was a pleasure being your professor. Take care, guys.